The daily consumption of the amount of cholesterol found in just a single egg appeared to cut a woman's life short as much as smoking 25,000 cigarettes, 5 cigarettes a day for 15 years.
What's up, friends? Welcome back. We've got an excellent video for you today.
Nice.
Eggs are a very hot topic in the nutrition space. Are they nature's most nutrient-dense, perfect food, or are they as dangerous as smoking cigarettes? Well, today we're going to find out, because Mr. Michael Greger, the godfather of the vegan movement, will tell you that eating an egg is equivalent to smoking a pack of cigarettes a day. And then in another video we look at, we find somebody that ate 720 eggs in 1 month and actually lowered his cholesterol and seems to be very sane and healthy. All right, so what I wanted to do was see what the internet is saying. So if you just do a quick little Google search, are eggs good for you? These are some of the headlines that I found. This one I really enjoyed from the Daily Mail, that eating just 1 egg a day increases your risk of diabetes by 60%, a study warns. That sounds very serious. And here again, we have the problem that most people only read a headline. There may be a couple of points below it, which says Aussie researchers have found a link between eating eggs and high blood sugar. The sample focused on people in China, where egg eating is steadily increasing. So is seed oil consumption, by the way. And that science has so far been polarized on the potential dangers of egg consumption. Yes, eggs are a very controversial topic. So what else do we have out here? All right, this is very interesting from Tufts University. So they've got something here they call a food compass. So real foods versus ultra-processed foods. And what you see on the green are the to be encouraged foods. So this is like full send, eat these are great. And then red is to be minimized. So let's go like at the extreme ends of the spectrum here. Let's not even focus on the yellow. Let's just look at the goods and the bad. So what have we got in the good? We've got textured vegetable protein. What on earth is textured vegetable protein? Okay, almond milk, yogurt, okay, solid, yogurt, chocolate milk, real chocolate milk, I'm down, soy milk, nah. Meatless chicken, breaded and fried, sounds very healthy. Okay, in the to be minimized, here we go, eggs, especially fried in butter, double whammy right there, cholesterol and saturated fat, bad news, don't like eggs, don't like beef, or lamb, or cheese, or short ribs. And even egg whites are on this list. Wow. Turkey, chicken, beef sausage. So Tufts University just showed us that they are ludicrous, very incompetent at telling you what a good food is. I would flip that on its head and you're probably in the right range. Craziness. Everybody's favorite vegan golem, Dr. Greger.
As I noted last year, the Harvard Nurses' Health Study found that the daily consumption of the amount of cholesterol found in just a single egg appeared to cut a woman's life short as much as smoking 25,000 cigarettes, 5 cigarettes a day for 15 years. Following up on that research, a study in the journal Atherosclerosis found that just 3 eggs or more a week was associated with a significant increase in artery-clogging plaque buildup in people's carotid arteries going to their brain, a strong predictor of stroke, heart attack, and death.
We'd have to crunch some serious numbers here. If 1 egg is equivalent to smoking 25,000 cigarettes, then what did Nick on the previous video? How many cigars did he smoke? We're in the millions here. Yet homeboy is still alive. Like, the fact that this can come out of a serious person's mouth as a position and a person in a position of authority, an author, somebody that's lauded in the vegan culture as being somebody we should all listen to, and he actually says that out loud, seriously, gives me just incredible concern for this man's mental health.
Stop it. Get some help.
That's one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard.
Found a similar exponential increase in arterial plaque buildup for smokers and egg eaters. Those that ate the most eggs had as much as 2/3 the risk of those that smoked the most, the equivalent of a pack-a-day habit for 40 years or more.
He even sounds unhinged. The lip smacking, the slurring of words. Firstly, it's not correlation isn't causation always, and what you're using here is an epidemiological study. You're not factoring in any of the healthy user bias. You're using food frequency questionnaires, which are highly unreliable, and then you're extrapolating just the most ridiculous coincidences that you can find to say that smoking cigarettes is equivalent to egg consumption over a lifetime, which, whether you're vegan or not, whether you agree with that or not, whether you think that cholesterol is dangerous or not, you can realistically believe that smoking eggs and egg consumption is the same thing.
I ate 1 egg per hour, every hour, for a whole month. Well, First things first, to clarify, I did in
wild.
fact sleep. That was an average, so I ate 24 eggs per day, 2 cartons, for 30 days, for a total of 720 eggs over 1 month. Now, second thing second, why did I do this?
Setting aside from the fact that I'm a little bit crazy.
But crazy with a purpose, generally. Well, 10% I did this because I just like eggs.
He just likes eggs. That's a lot of eggs, though. I mean, I like eggs too. I'm curious if I ate 720 in 1 month, whether I would still like eggs. I feel like that's some serious palate fatigue right there. So props to you, my friend.
Did this for the egg puns and yolks I'll drop throughout the video.
Oh, wow. Egg puns and yolks. Okay, before I've even watched this, we're going to have a game. Every time this guy drops an egg pun, you owe me 10 push-ups, okay? Got it? Roger.
Can you catch all 7? But the main reason, well, you'll have to wait a little bit longer to find out. Anyway, I hypothesized that eating 720 eggs in 1 month, which alone amounts to 133,200 milligrams of cholesterol, would not increase my cholesterol. Specifically, it would not increase my LDL cholesterol.
Well, that's really interesting that he did this because he hypothesized that eating that crazy number of eggs wouldn't raise his cholesterol, and specifically wouldn't raise his quote-unquote bad cholesterol, the LDL cholesterol, which is really interesting because he must be privy to some knowledge that maybe you and I are not, because the average world person listening to mainstream media advice would tell you if you eat 720 eggs in 1 month, you probably won't make it out of the month before you drop dead from a heart attack. So let's see what this crazy cat's saying.
Indeed, drumroll, it didn't. Not a smidge. All those eggs did not increase my cholesterol. Even though my dietary intake of cholesterol more than quintupled, my LDL cholesterol actually dropped by 2% over the first 2 weeks, and then it dropped by 18 more percent.
I'm going to pause here for effect. His cholesterol consumption quintupled and his bad cholesterol dropped by 18%. Right here, we've just broke the matrix. Right here, we have just broke the lipid cholesterol model of dietary cholesterol driving up your blood levels of cholesterol, because this guy just did one of the craziest cholesterol full sends that you have seen and dropped his bad cholesterol. Let's see if he explains how or why he was able to do that.
I'll explain this change in drop slope in a moment, but first, there's mechanistic reason for why dietary cholesterol doesn't increase cholesterol, serum cholesterol, all things being equal. As I've explained in other videos, you can check out this video, while it's been known for some time that dietary cholesterol has very little impact on normal people's cholesterol levels.
He just says here that whilst it's been known for some time that dietary cholesterol doesn't really impact blood lipid levels of cholesterol, I think this guy might know this, and maybe the health enjoyer might know this, but I would say the average person has no clue that that's a thing. I think they think that eating red meat, cheese, eggs, cholesterol-rich foods absolutely drives up your cholesterol number, which is why if you test high on a blood lipid panel for cholesterol, that is the exact advice that your doctor will give you. They will tell you to cut out red meat. They will tell you to go for lean white meat like chicken. They will tell you don't eat more than 4 eggs a week. So how does this guy know this? And he's saying it's common knowledge, but apparently our doctors are completely clueless.
Only recently discovered as to why this is, the mechanism. Briefly, just high-level summary, when you eat cholesterol, the cholesterol binds to receptors on gut cells, and this stimulates the release of a hormone called colicin. And colicin binds to its receptor on the liver, called GPR146, and this inhibits endogenous cholesterol synthesis by the liver, so things balance out and homeostasis is maintained.
Yeah, science. Let's go.
Exciting science. Exciting science. And it will
Drop and give me 10.
definitely scramble your brain. Now,
Drop and
why
give me
did
20.
my LDL not change over the first 2 weeks, and then drop about 18% over the final 2 weeks? What accounts for that change in drop slope? Well, carbohydrates, dietary carbohydrates. If you follow me, you almost certainly know about the famous Oreo versus statin experiment, where I demonstrated, consistent with our prior literature, including case series and interventional trials, a meta-analysis of randomized controlled trials, and our understanding of lipid physiology in lean people who go low carb, that adding back carbs, really of any sort, be it Oreos, fruit, or starches, is sufficient to reduce LDL in the so-called lean mass hyperresponder phenotype. Check out more on that below.
You can check out his video, as he said, if you want to kind of do a deep dive on this. The lean mass hyperresponder model was really popularized by Dave Feldman and all of the research he did on cholesterol. It's really, really fascinating stuff. It really will break your brain if you have more of this conventional view of saturated fat, cholesterol, and heart disease risk.
Briefly, in lean, insulin-sensitive people who go on low-carbohydrate diets, especially ketogenic diets, it's common for LDL levels to rise as part of a lipid triad, including high LDL, high HDL, and low triglyceride.
Which is a good thing, by the way. High HDL, known as the protective one, the garbage truck that gobbles up the bad one, that being higher is generally a good thing, and triglycerides coming down is almost always a good thing. So there's just this little trifecta that's going on here, that just because LDL goes up doesn't mean that you should sound the alarms and immediately jump on a statin. It's not always that simple.
This lipid triad, we think, constitutes a metabolic signature of an extreme shift from carb burning to fat burning, whereby VLDL particles exported from the liver are turned over at fat and muscle tissue, leading to a jump in LDL, a jump in HDL, and low triglycerides. Again, check out the content below for more on that. But adding back carbs reduces the need for an upregulation in systemic lipid trafficking through the cholesterol system. And this phenotype, the high LDL, high HDL, low triglyceride phenotype, reverts and LDL drops. Otherwise, and very simply stated, adding back carbs can drop LDL, at least in these lean mass hyperresponders. And yes, any net carbs will work.
It's actually really interesting because this was Paul Saladino's journey too, when he was fully carnivore before the animal-based pivot. Paul was notoriously high in his cholesterol and his LDL was high. And now Paul's LDL is significantly lower, which is interesting because he's been slowly ramping up those carbohydrates. And I believe now Paul is sitting somewhere at 200 to 300, maybe even over that per grams of carbohydrates a day of raw dairy, orange juice, fruit juices. So very, very interesting mechanisms here.
I chose primarily fruit and a modest dose, just 60 grams of net carbs for the final 2 weeks. And I included bananas, blueberries, strawberries, and a few frozen cherries that I honestly dipped in macadamia butter because I love macadamia butter. Anyway, I chose this dose, the 60-gram dose, out of curiosity because I knew 60 grams per day wouldn't be enough to totally reverse my lean mass hyperresponder phenotype and drop my LDL cholesterol to, quote, normal levels, which is about 90 milligrams per deciliter for me when I'm on a mixed standard American style diet before I went keto. But I figured 60 grams will be enough to have some effect. I'd probably ebb and flow out of ketosis. And the effect was sizable, an 18% drop. Now, if I doubled that dose to 120 grams per day, I think I would have seen closer to the 71% drop I saw with the Oreo cookies. But more to the point here is that in the battle between conventional wisdom and platitudes and outside-the-box thinking based on new understanding of physiology, i.e. super high cholesterol intake through a ton of eggs versus just a little bit of fruit, the extra dose of carbs dominated over the insane amounts of cholesterol I was eating. Again, over the month, at least 133,200 milligrams. And dietary fat as well. To tally up the math, in the final 2 weeks, where I was also eating a little bit of fruit, I was eating at least 75 grams per day of saturated fat and about 5,000 milligrams per day of dietary cholesterol, which is a lot more than my usual. And despite this, the, quote, blueberry power, or I guess berries and bananas, dominated on my cholesterol and dropped it by 18%.
This is kind of crazy because this is just some random guy, Nick, in his bedroom that is basically poking the most crazy amount of holes in the whole dietary understanding of cholesterol's impact on our health. And when was the last time that you went to get checked by the doctor who had a conversation around cholesterol, who A, would say, you know what, it doesn't matter that much how much cholesterol you're eating, let's think about addition of healthy carbohydrates into your diet? Or is it most commonly the fact that as soon as they see a number above 200 total, they start to stuff a statin down your throat and get you in the pipeline for a lifeline of medications?
Realize this video isn't fully self-contained insofar as I haven't delved too deep into the lipid energy model and the physiology that predicts this response. Again, you can check out more content linked below. But there's a reason for that, which gets me back to the why for why I did this video in the first place. What you'll find, no surprise, is that more extreme messages carry further. They become memes. They can self-propagate and spread a message. Sadly, the messages on social media, particularly in the diet space, are often shallow or hollow. But in their best forms, I think they can serve as intellectual provocation to bring people together, provided those people are willing to listen to the words being said and the actual arguments being made when you go a level deeper beyond the packaging, beyond the carton.
Who knew this egghead was such a modern-day philosopher? Let's go, Nick.
On the shell. I've found utility in this form of legit bait approach.
Legit bait. Oh my god, I love that. I'm stealing it. We're swapping clickbait for legit bait. Thank you for that one, Nick.
Oreo versus statin study, which was kind of a social experiment for me, and as silly as it may seem, it did capture the attention not only of a large volume of people, but it also captured the attention of important parties, including other researchers and clinicians who are now on board and aware of the work we are doing, and they're invested in it. They're helping us push it forward. So in the end, this video isn't about eggs at all. It's actually a reflection exercise for both me and you. For me, I'm interested to see what responses this video receives versus my standard basic science breakdown fare. Presumably, if this video gets more clicks, it's because of the packaging, the eggs, the shell. For you, evidently you clicked on this video because you're watching it right now, otherwise you wouldn't be hearing me speak. And be honest with yourself. I want you to reflect on why you clicked on this video. Was it because you thought there was a lesson to be learned? That it would be entertaining? Or did you think it would be a devilish blend between the two? Was the click almost reflexive? And if so, what does that say about the population psychology of social media influencing, specifically within the nutrition and diet space? If this is the video you chose to click, perhaps that's a data point in a demonstration that the incentive structure drives content creators to give you extremes, like 720 eggs. Now, contemplate. What's the effect of that? What's the effect on me, on you, and then back on me? Is it bad, or is it just a practical reality with which we need to contend? I want you to leave your thoughts below. Let's continue this conversation authentically, and for now, that's all, yokes.
I like this guy. And by the way, if you were keeping count, I think you owe me 70 push-ups by the end of this video. I just like this approach. He's taken something, quite rightly, very extreme, very clickbaity or legit baity, and he's using this to be a true definition of what a citizen scientist is. Do something crazy, to poke holes at something, to get the people in power, or the people that in our culture we laud on this pedestal of being the people that can actually influence change, potentially encourage more study around something like this, to actually start a movement and to acknowledge that, hey, maybe we don't have all of the answers, but it's all packaged or shelled in this deeper message of what does this do? How does it show what incentive structures are set up in culture for the clickbait world, for the extremes, and what that means for us as humans? So I'm a fan, Nick. You just gained a fan today. Thank you very much for your crazy experiment. If you want to know my motivation for clicking on this video, is because I wanted to see what would happen. 720 eggs in a month makes me think, could I do anything like that? But also, I wanted to see how you were going to break the brain of the cholesterol model of dietary impacts, and you did it very, very well.